VR headset, it's actually the sense of presence is quite strong. The lighting is good. It feels relatively photographic as a space. But again, it's very intensive. This is running on a desktop 980 GTX in Unity. The whole scene is about 3 million or so triangles. There's just no way to get that running on a mobile system without much more extensive work and you know, a week's more of decimation and so on. So those are sort of some of the projects we've worked on in a reality capture context. I'm just going to do a quick resume of the strengths and the weaknesses of the different strategies, the different approaches we've used. When we first started out a few years ago, we were very attracted to structured light scanners for reality capture. They seem to have some very good advantages in the sense that you basically get a 3D model directly out of your system for scanning. The problem is that you just get a 3D model. You don't have, you only have what the tool pipeline that the scanner vendor provides. So if you don't get what you want, there's very little you can do about it. The other problem with structured light is, the primary problem with structured light is it's very sensitive to heat. So if you have bright sunlight, the way the structured light scanners tend to work is they project a laser grid and they use an offset camera to detect the deformations in the laser grid and use that to estimate depth. Usually these are infrared lasers. So if you have bright hot light points or bright sunlight, it just doesn't work and the camera can't estimate depth. You end up with something that needs a lot of cleanup and essentially compute and labor intensive work. You've got to actually go and do a lot of cleanup work to get to something you can use in VR, and there goes the budget. Photogrammetry, very high quality results as long as the subject matter is suitable. If you've got an environment, say you want to shoot an interior environment that's very modern, lots of big, clean, flat, planar surfaces, the photogrammetry tools, point cloud generation algorithms are simply not going to find enough features to give you surfaces. So a lot of cases, photogrammetry just can't give you a result. When it does work, there's typically a very noisy data, and you end up with an environment that, once again, needs a lot of intensive manual cleanup and post-processing, and there goes the budget. The techniques that we've had most experience with are LiDAR, so devices like Faro Trimble, like NC Tech, and we're very excited by the new NC Tech LiDAR camera, which has a really good color camera on it. Typically, historically, the color cameras on the LiDAR scanners are really not very good, so you end up having to shoot and recombine the color with the LiDAR afterwards. As I mentioned, it's relatively quick to scan for small spaces, rapidly gets very long. The great thing about LiDAR is it's much more robust across a wider variety of surfaces than the other scanning techniques. But again, first of all, you can end up with pretty big data sets pretty quickly, and that can get out of control. And the end result is you have a lot of data that's going to need a lot of manual cleanup. So there goes the budget again. Another technique we've used a little bit is stereo 360 panoramas. It's not strictly a reconstruction technique because there's no geometry, you're not building a 3D model with it. But it's very quick, relatively speaking, to produce. The really only drawback is that you've got, it's not a 6 degree of freedom 3D model. The end user is stuck in the middle of the bubble of the panorama. So when they move, the panorama moves with them. But otherwise, you can quickly get pretty high quality immersive results, which is what we're after with VR experiences, and it works. It's quite easy to target mobile devices. So with all these problems, why bother with 3D? You know, 2D panoramas work very well. Pano tours, 2D pano tours are very effective, quite cheap to make, relatively speaking. They're cheap enough that a wide variety of clients can afford the budgets to use them. And end users don't need any special equipment, they don't need headsets and so on. So it's all perfectly true. What makes it worthwhile making the effort to do 3D? What's changed in the last couple of years is that now over 95% of mobile devices are 3D capable. They've got GPUs that are capable of doing some degree of VR. Also, as of, well, pretty much this year, there are about 100 million VR headsets in the market as of now. By the end of this year, we're going to bust that number. The key thing to remember is that these are almost all, 95, 99% mobile headsets. So in terms of marketing communications, VR is essentially a mobile platform at the moment. Desktop VR is, if you're providing the headset with the experience, all well and good, but if you're expecting to run a marketing campaign and people to be able to consume that VR media, it's a mobile world right now. So that's actually a pretty interesting change in the market. There's as of now, in the last couple of years, now we can actually create VR 3D marketing campaigns and have a reasonable expectation that people are going to be able to consume them. So, how do we create 3D VR economically? What we struggle with doing our reality capture work is that although there's lots of demand, lots of people wanting us to do this, this kind of stuff, the problem is that majority of customers just can't afford the budget. So we pitch for a job and people's eyes pop out and we never hear from them again. And that was kind of most of the experience of doing reality capture work. So the question we started to ask ourselves, and what's kind of led us to doing what we're doing now, is how to bring VR production costs, 3D VR production costs, down to a point where a majority of clients, a volume market of clients, can afford the budgets. And this is where we come to the material ecosystem and what we're trying to build. So it's going to consist of a bunch of pieces. They're not all there yet. Right now we're working on, and what I'm going to show you today is the stage editor, a preview of that. But ultimately, we envisage building a capture controller, which will help automate the process of capturing the panoramas and whatever other input media you need as easily and sort of simply as possible directly into the editor. Everything is cloud-based. It's all running in a web browser. What we will be building shortly after Stage ships is a dedicated VR viewer that will work across a bunch of different platforms. Right now, it's a WebGL viewer, and that works very well. It kind of targets everything. But there's still certain advantage to be able to put the viewer into the storefronts of Daydream, Oculus, and so on. And just having a web viewer doesn't give us that opportunity. And then one of the things that's really interesting with VR experiences is the analytics. In a marketing context, you have much more detailed understanding of what the end user is doing in terms of what they're looking at, where they're spending their time in the scene, than you can do with a traditional website. And so we can capture those analytics and make those available. All right, so I'm just going to pop out of here and do a really quick demo. So I'm just going to pop back here. So this is when you log into Material Stage right now, the alpha. This is the project browser. This is where all your tours or projects exist. So I'm going to open a tour I was building earlier. Normally, when you create a new tour, the first thing you do is you're going to upload your equirectangular images. Right now, we only support equirectangular panoramas, although we already support bracket sets. So if you've shot HDR, you can just upload the bracket sets, and we'll process that on the back end. So it's ideal for 360 cameras, but you can also shoot with a DSLR. For a reconstruction point of view, we want the minimum amount of distortion possible. It's better to have a little bit of artifacts in the panorama than actually have too much distortion or fixing going on in the creation of the equirectangular image. So what we'll do when we normally upload an image is on the back end, we'll do a bit of post-processing to start to work out how to find the panoramas relatively in space. There's certain limits. They need to be not more than 4 meters apart, and ideally kind of something less than that, but that's about okay. So here I have the environment, and these are my panoramas that I uploaded, and we've got them registered in space. Sometimes that's going to work. Sometimes you're going to have to do that manually, so we have tools that allow us to compare the panoramas spatially. So for example, if I go over to, just going to pop over to look at this guy over here, and I'm on this guy, so I'm able to compare two panoramas and see how well registered they are, and I can actually go in and offset them together relatively. And so what we've got right away is something that's kind of interesting. What I've done, the one parameter we really need in order to be able to reconstruct stuff at scale, so the depth perception works, is we need to know exactly what the height of the nodal point of the lens is from the floor plane. That means we can find the floor plane in the panorama and begin the reconstruction. We're working on some tech to find room corners and identify floors, but for now, the first thing you want to do is actually go in and just draw the floor outline. So this gets us to an environment that's actually now already a 3D environment, although it's pretty basic and it's not going to work too well if we try and look at it in 3D. For example, if I come over here and look at this piece of furniture here, if I switch to the 3D preview, we can see that as I move around in 3D, it's distorting really badly. So the next thing we want to be able to do is start to insert some geometry in the space. So I'm going to pop into here. And because we've already got our, I need a mouse for this. I should have plugged in my mouse. And so I think, so now I've created a piece of geometry. It's hard to make it fit because I should have brought my mouse, but anyway. So now I've inserted that piece of geometry into the panorama, and because all my other panoramas are registered, when I go to the preview, we're doing a very quick live blend, but now I've got something that deforms properly and works in the environment. Thank you. So I won't go around and spend too much time looking at that. I'm pretty short of time right now. What I could do is just go back to the flip suite and show you one where I've added a few more pieces. We only have cuboid primitives at this point. We're going to add other primitives into the environment. Basically, so here I've got a bunch more, the blending's still under, but I've got a bunch more pieces of geometry, and so we're able to quickly add more stuff to create a more believable environment. And when you're targeting mobile device, we can now actually go and hit publish, and it'll be there on the web in a WebGL stereo view that you can put on a headset and see it. And if you got the little viewer that we put into, I think, a bunch of people's bags, there's a link to a version of this scene that you can actually go look at on a mobile device in stereo. So this is very quick baking because we're doing it live. When we actually publish, if I go back to my project home, when I actually publish the environment, I get a public link, and it's actually a little bit more optimized now, and I now have a tour where I've got a fully three-dimensional space. Obviously, I haven't reconstructed the bathroom yet, so that was just doesn't work yet, and I haven't reconstructed this space, but we can, construct more and more, connect spaces together. But it's a true 3D environment. So when you look at it in stereo, you see proper depth perception that's scaled correctly, and I can even sort of pop through parts of the furniture. So that's pretty much it for the demo. As I say, it was very quick. I've got a couple more little things to talk about. Okay, 2 seconds. So what happened? What we did is basically we did a shoot. So we shot, in this case, we're using a Theta S. We shot a few minutes of, say it's a 30-minute shoot our panoramas, probably longer for HDR. We uploaded the images, and in about 20 minutes, we're able to reconstruct the 3D environment, hit publish, and it's online as a mobile-ready VR, fully freely navigable 3D environment. So shared online. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to take questions just for a couple of minutes, but before then, I just want to make sure you all know that the workshop with Benjamin Bowdell, the Forge.js workshop, is going to be starting in about 1 minute. That will be upstairs in the atelier where the main food was yesterday. So if you want to go to that workshop, then please leave now so that it can start as soon as possible. This is the Forge JS, the color
Ooh,
GoPro
wanna go
Forge
for it?
JS workshop. There is limited seating, so it's for those who have signed up. If you have signed up, please go, but it is full and there is limited seating.
Does anyone have questions?
Okay, yeah, we did say we were going to talk about pricing. I can't announce pricing yet. We're actually still testing the cloud operation costs, so we need more people testing it. There's going to be a freemium subscription model. So basically, there'll be a personal free access level. You can try it, probably build 2 or 3 projects concurrently and put them online. There'll be a personal subscription.
Are we looking at like $2 or $50 per? It's a range.
I would speculate, and don't hold me to this, that the personal subscription will be something like $10 a month, and a commercial enterprise subscription will be something like $40 a month. But don't hold me. I didn't say that.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, just as I'm moving the microphone over, I'll just make sure you'll realize there is a little more room in the workshop. So if you really want to do Forge.js and you haven't signed up, there is a little more space.
How do we sort of sign up onto your alpha?
Just go to the website, click the sign up button.
It's ready to sign
It's
up.
all right
Okay,
there.
great.
And we'll follow up with you. We're letting people on in cohorts of about 10 a time
Cool.
as we start to scale the infrastructure, so it's bit by bit.
Yeah, awesome.
That looks fantastic.
Thank you.
And I've tried to do it manually in 3D apps before and lost years of my life
Yes,
trying.
yeah,
So
it's pure hell. Yeah,
having
yeah.
the tool set for building basic geometry like that and being able to map stuff quickly is excellent. I noticed in the demo you just showed us there now, for example, there are obviously some texture issues.
Yep.
Do you envisage that being part of your overall workflow, is to have tools to allow you to quickly sort out, where example,
Yeah, what
two
we're
textures
definitely
overlap?
going to, it's very early in the development of the blending heuristic. So right now what we do is on a sort of a per face basis, we decide which is the optimal panorama to use and whether we need to then try and fill in any gaps. We're definitely going to offer tools that allow you to, as a user, say, well, I want never to use this bit of this panorama on any of my models, or I always want this bit to be visible. And so we'll definitely do that, at least in the first version. We'd like to try and avoid building a painting tool. That's kind of complicated, and the people we're trying to aim this at are hopefully people that are not, interested in doing too much of that work. So.
Okay, that's all the time we have for questions, I'm afraid.
Thank you very much.
Gareth, you will be around for the rest of the conference. I believe you will be. So I'm definitely going to be badgering him with questions myself. Okay, well, the workshop is now underway. Here we have Bart Verhagen making a virtual reality story in 5 minutes.
One, two, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, messieurs, dames, meine Damen und Herren, Senioras y Senores, grüß Gott. We're in Austria, so why not using the local language? My name is Bart, I'm from Belgium. My partner in crime, Johan, and we had a crazy idea. Let's make a story in 5 minutes. So first of all, let's wait till we see the results. But first of all, let me tell you something about the history. So we started a couple of years ago. We are, you could say, internet pioneers. Started in '92, I think, in Europe, one of the first. And we started in 2009 being a Google enterprise partner. Can you imagine? So, but as you all know, Google changes a lot of times things we do like and sometimes we don't like. So anyway, in 2012, 2013, we also joined the program of the Google Trusted Photographers. And why? Because at the end, if there's one thing that Johan and myself have in common, we love what we do and we do what we love. And that's how we started with the idea, why not traveling around the world? And make as many virtual tours as possible. And in the last 3 years, we were able to produce about 15,000 virtual tours and 100,000 panoramas. So this was, as you can imagine, but you could say that things get boring after a while. So we always were looking to make complex things easy, as simple as possible. And that's why we were able to travel around the world. We worked with hundreds of people, always local people. We worked in Mexico, we worked in South Africa, in the townships. Some of the people who helped us doing those projects even couldn't read, had never seen a computer, and we made a tool that made it possible for them to join the program. As well, for example, in Rio de Janeiro, we hired people coming from the favelas who couldn't read, who never had seen a camera, and who helped us making about 1,500 virtual tours during the Olympic Games last year. So the last project we did was in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, where we were able to produce about 3,300 virtual tours in only 4 weeks' time. So who's paying us? That's another question you could ask yourself. So we have always been paid by organizations like, for example, the business listing, the yellow pages worldwide, the portals, restaurants, things like this. So we never work directly with the end consumer. So, and in October 2016, we had a newspaper coming over and asked us to make, because they existed about 125 years, so they asked us to make something virtual for this celebration, and that's when we started making our first virtual VR story, you could say. So you should be aware, I do not know anything about technology. I do not know anything about cameras. So this is my latest toy. You could say toys for boys. Okay, it's the latest Samsung. And I do not know anything, again, about the technology. And I love working with people, and especially with people who want to learn something in what we could call a new industry, a new medium. So this is, you have seen some of the places we have been visiting the last year, but let's stick to the plan and let's start making our story live. We had a problem because yesterday we still didn't know what kind of story should we bring to professional people. And we could amaze you when you make 100,000 panoramas. We could make or look for the best and show you perfect panoramas. We didn't. So we thought, why not making a story of the last 3 days? So Johan, what do you think? Let's go and start. So we created a platform called Onto VR. So where you can sign up, where you can log in, and where you can start creating your story. So start the time. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Join me on this one. So we first give our story a title. If it's okay for you, we will call it The Challenge. And then a description, create a story in VR in a few minutes for a live audience. Seems okay? And then the next step is, okay, let's upload all the information I would like to use. Perhaps I didn't tell you, but I myself, I'm a journalist, so I do know something about script writing. I do know something about storyboards, storylines, and how, at the end, I would like to end up with my story. As a journalist, I'm also aware of having a deadline. So I can't waste a lot of time in all technology problems. So, okay, as you can see, we made a map with all the information we would like to use. This can be whatever kind of media. It can be audio, it can be 3D information, as well video as panorama pictures. It can also be, of course, imagery, traditional imagery, video, and so on. So what is happening right now, it's uploading to the server, and the server automatically recognizes what kind of information he's receiving. And you will see in the next step, if we go to the next step, when all the pictures will be uploaded, so you will see that at the end, we come and we only keep 4 tabs. Again, our challenge was to make something complex very easy. So we have a tab on your left, the 3D information, panorama, pictures, video, whatever. We have the 2D, so again, all kind of information. Audio, ladies and gentlemen, very important in VR storytelling is the audio. It has a total other dimension than we are used to in a 2-dimensional direction. And then the last part are the items. So we did try the prototype with a school in the VIENNA in Cape Town, and they helped us making it as easy as possible. And at the end, they ended up, Bart, why can't we just drag and drop? So that's what we tried to do. But first of all, as a journalist, I have to make my storyboards, and in this storyboard I can have different storylines. So in this case, for example, my first storyline could be day 1, the day of our arrival. So I can drag a picture in it. I can also add some music. And if we talk about Vienna and music, then we could talk about Mozart. So let's use some classical music. Then my second storyline could be day 2. Yesterday, the day of our registration. And then also we all remember the nice dinner we were offered somewhere outside of Vienna. So let's also make a picture over there. And then my third storyline could be today. And let's be honest, today for us, we were in the panic room, as you will see, because we still didn't know what story we would bring you. So okay, it goes fast in our world, and you know much better than we do, because only 4 days ago, the official name of our concept was Go VR. So we changed it before coming over to Onto VR, because it seems that the English and American people, they said, Go VR. What's the link with virtual reality? So we changed everything in about 24 hours. So we also put some music on it. And okay, let's start filling up our story. By day 1, I just grabbed a picture over there. So I remember before coming over, we had a meeting with Thomas Cook. I suppose most of you know Thomas Cook as tour operator. So we had a meeting with the marketing department. So they offered us a movie, a 3D movie, so we can use this one also. So before, okay, we will set the start view. We can rename also all the information we grabbed from our file. So that's one that we do. So we give it a name, we close it, we take another 3D. So this could be, for example, the movie that they offered us, Johan. You remember? I think if you go over there, so you will, okay, this one. You all remember the campaign Thomas Cook did, I think last year, the Try Before You Fly campaign. So that's the movie they offered us. So we can again start, make a thumbnail live. Everything you see right now is happening live. It's all online. We do not believe in tools using offline. And then the third could be, for example, when we arrived in our hotel, or the Airbnb in this case. Okay, let's make this as a third one. So that's how we spent our first day here in Vienna. The second day, so we go to the storyline 2. So we will take again some 3D information. This can be, for example, a picture outside of the nice building we're in. The second one could be a movie, because again, one of the advantages that we would like to present here is the combination as well of the still images, panoramas, and the video. So the third one could be, why not, one of the sponsors, and the last one also a movie, and I think, okay, and then we had the picture we took yesterday at the dinner. Okay, we will edit this, we will put a start view, afterwards we can put some hotspots on it, we can enrich all the things we would like to do in our story, and then let's finish with day 3, so today, and we had one picture we just made in the panic room, still brainstorming the story we would bring, and we will put the restaurant over here, and as you can see, this was the situation this morning. Okay, we will save this, we can give it a name, and now let's start. You could say the story itself is ready. I could build it already, but why not go back to day 1 and enrich some more information in the things that you can see on the 3D environment. So if we go to the first panorama of day 1, so we can, for example, say, starting from items, I would like to add audio. I would like to tell you something about this panorama. So automatically we go to the audio tab, the Thomas Cook publicity. Then, for example, we can also add a picture. So we drag and drop the picture into our 3D environment. So we drag a picture. When the picture starts, I would like to say you something. And also, when you stop the picture, let's also add some audio. So Thomas Cook in and out. So we did prepare this morning. And then, so what else could we do? We could also put a 2-dimensional video into it. We can put some text into it. So yes, that's the one. That's a campaign they did in New York some months ago. So let's also add some text. So as easy as can be, we all know how to write in an editor. We can change the color of the text, we can change the background of the text, and then you will see also the results of this. So Tim, and let's also take a picture of Tim, his profile on LinkedIn. He's the product manager or the marketing manager for Thomas Cook. And we will add also his, and then of course, so we will first make sure that all the hotspots are on the right place, and again, as easy as possible. So, okay, you would like to put also, no, not Matthias, put Anthony, the middle one. He's the one who made the decision. He's the one who agreed for the contract we signed. So why not Anthony? And that's it. Okay, so now let's put them in place. As you can see, all the hotspots, whatever information, are centralized. And now I can put Tim on his, and also the picture. So we can also use Anthony, so put his picture on it. So we have the video over there, we have, and put the start view. Okay, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's close it, let's build the story. So we go back to the file, and we will publish it directly to whatever medium. So this could be as well your Facebook, your Google+, your LinkedIn, Vimeo, whatever. So here we will do it live on Facebook. We can also display it directly on the website of OnToVR, because we started in our new version also adding advertising, because advertising becomes more and more important in our industry. And then let's give it a short URL. So when we go back, so we can say OnToVR, and why not use the IVRPA. So whoever would like to have a look at the story we made, just go to your browser on whatever device, because we do not care about the devices, and you will see the result of the story we made. Of course, we can do it also on a flat screen. So if you go to, so as you can see over here, the challenge, this is live on Facebook. We open it, and this is a story that we have made. So we made it especially for the headsets. We do believe in headsets, ladies and gentlemen. And if we click on Start the Story, So if we can have some sound on it. Is somebody over there?
12-mile journey to Loughborough. Then we invented the package holiday. We created the
So
first
you
travel
remember
brochure too.
the importance of the
And by
audio. We are also
1860,
working
we
on
were sending
audio
people
3
on
right now.
pioneering trips around the
So
world,
let's
from
open
Egypt to China.
the two-dimensional
We've been
video.
recreating-
We click on it. So of course you can turn around. Okay, let's close it again. Let's have a look at the picture we made over there. You hear the music of Mozart that we added to the virtual tour.
Try before you fly campaign.
There's a try to
for Thomas Cook.
before you fly campaign. We close it. We will hear other audio coming out. So
For
I told you
travelers
about Tim.
now and
Let's
in the
see
future, a
who
virtual
Tim is.
reality
Let's make a link
version
to his LinkedIn profile. And that's it. So, okay, let's continue the story we made. So we just use the arrows. We go to the next slides. So this is the movie that they provided us with, made by some colleagues in the States. Yes, so, okay. We go on. So we go to the next slide of our first day, the Airbnb, where we arrived. And then you will see that we can use the index or the menu to go to the next storyline. So the next storyline was our day 2. So this was the static picture we took with the Samsung. So please do not criticize the quality of the pictures, because it wasn't about that quality. So this is the registration we did yesterday. We can continue, go to the next one, the sponsors we have right here. And then we can go to the last day. Okay, of course, the dinner. You remember Jeffrey? I'm not sure if you're here. So, and this is today. But it's even nicer for people like me, being a journalist, not knowing anything about technology, that you can do those things also directly online, whatever the device, even on your phone. If I would activate this one, we can add directly from here, and let's see if I'm right. If the lights go on. It should work. It worked before. Okay, there it is. Okay, there are the lights. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's make a nice picture. Wave to the camera. Okay, that's what we like. Let's take a picture. Just a moment, another moment. So he's connecting to the device, and we will put it live online, also adding to the story we made. Ready, Johan? You have? Is it not connecting? Okay, now it's connecting. Ready? There we go again. Come on, wave. And that's the picture. So this picture we will add now directly from the phone. As you can see, Johan is working on his phone. So he is saving the picture. He will add it directly to the story. So this means if we will go back to the back office, that you will see that a new medium has been added to the platform, and we will put the picture behind this one. So that's, I would say in a short time, what we have been working on the last couple of months. So, I do not know if you would have any questions. You're free to ask them. And again, thanks very much spending your time to look at our presentation. Thank you.
Going in the back, going in the back. Takes a while to get there.
Well, thank you, and I'm pretty excited about your product. And the question is, what is your pricing?
Pricing. Ooh, that's the difficult part. You know, it's even not a business today. It was just an idea. And as I told you before, we love what we do what we love. We launched already in the past a lot of new products, and always with the same challenge: make something complex as easy as possible. And in many cases, for example, when I started my presentation with virtualtour.city, the mass production in virtual reality. So we sold it about 1 month ago to a new company, the e-content company based in Luxembourg, a European company. And then when we start a new challenge. So nothing is for free, that's for sure. Yeah, why? Because the hosting, you have the hosting over there. But to give you an idea, the basic, because what I have shown you over here is the basic application. We have another application, much more complicated, because over there you can customize whatever you have seen, the layout, the icons, whatever. You also have statistics on it, the heat maps on it. But if I would have shown this, it would become too much in a short time. But anyway, the basic license will cost you €720 per year for 10 stories. And ladies and gentlemen, don't we have all a story? Don't we have all a lot of stories? So, and our main target for us are the newspapers. We made already some agreements with newspapers, the journalists, because also user management becomes very important in a newspaper. The basic license, it's about one single user. In the pro version, we have multiple users. And not every journalist can publish whatever he wants. So you have a certain administration also in your user management. But again, what you have seen here will cost €720 per year for 10 stories.
Aldo in the back.
Hello. In the first scene of the story you created, there were a number of different hotspots, each telling a different piece of your story. An interesting thing about panoramas and being able to look around in them is that there's not a fixed order in which you click on these hotspots. This is very interesting, but it's also very challenging to tell a story.
Yes.
Do you have any ideas on how to handle that?
Yes, we're working right now on helping journalists making their storyline, their storyboard also online. Because of course, as you say, it's a 3D environment, so it's all a matter of guiding somebody to the place you would like them to click or to look or to focus. So that's the next thing we are trying to make as simple as possible. The challenge over here, and this did work out in Cape Town, in the school, so a class of 24 children were able, with iPads, with whatever device, to make a story in a very short time. So they made their own story, and that was the main purpose. But again, it will get better and better because we do believe in the future of VR storytelling.
Anyone else? All right. Thanks a lot, Bart, for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Bart. Up next is Greg Downing, volumetric virtual reality from photos to room scale. Okay, please welcome on stage Greg Downing.
I do DVI too.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Greg Downing from XRES Studio. All right, great. Thanks. Probably some of you know me. I've been kind of around in the panoramic community for quite a while. XRES Studio is a company that I started 10 years ago together with Eric Hansen. My background was as a panoramic photographer. I then worked in software at RealViz on Stitcher and Image Modeler. And then I worked in film on visual effects for feature film for a number of years. Eric has a similar background. He was an architect, and then he worked in visual effects for 15 years on a lot of feature films. And we got together and decided to start a company. So we were here in 2015. This is the last time I got to address you guys. And I just kind of wanted to review and jog your memories about what we presented in 2015. So in 2015, we showed you human scale objects being captured in gigapixel using focus stacking, and that's the Babbage engine in the upper left. We showed you some of the cultural heritage documentation we were doing using photogrammetry on Easter Island. We showed some of the information about a project we did a number of years ago in Yosemite that many of you actually participated on. We had 70 photographers come together, and we shot 20 multi-gigapixel images from the peaks of all the mountains in Yosemite simultaneously at the same moment of time, and then remapped that back onto laser scans of the valley. Then we showed some deconvolution and stretching of contrast in order to see damage on cultural heritage sites, to see through the damage. We also showed relightable imaging that we were working on for taking a photograph that we could relight after the photograph was taken, and then some photogrammetry of man-made objects. So I'll show you some more similar projects that we've been working on. A lot of these are based on photogrammetry. So photogrammetry has been around for a long time. This is the original patent from 1893. The original idea was that if you took photographs from balloons, you could use this in warfare to figure out how far away an enemy was. You could figure out how much you needed to tilt your cannon in order to hit the guy on the other side. So the concept of photogrammetry has been around for a long time, and in recent years, there's been kind of a revolution in photogrammetry due to the approach of structure from motion, which is, you can kind of just think of as a really dense group of photos. By photographing really densely, you can take advantage of a lot of automated algorithms that are very similar to what we use in panoramic stitching. It's the same SIFT algorithm or SIFT-like algorithm that's finding control points and then passing those between images, etc. But mostly, we've used photogrammetry for pre-rendered work. So we would do photogrammetry, and then, in a lot of the work that I did in feature film, we would then use that for rendering into a movie. And in VR, the first several years that we were working in VR, we were making spherical stereoscopic movies. And the cameras have always been very problematic for getting really good stereo. So one of the ways that we worked around that was to use photogrammetry. So we'd capture a scene photogrammetrically, and then using a software renderer, we could get perfect stereoscopy by rendering it, because you could essentially create a slit scan render of the whole scene for every frame in the movie. So you could do this very high quality stereoscopic work. So we did that on a full dome piece called Pull of the Moon. So this is a documentation of an artwork that we did with Ai Weiwei, and who's a Chinese dissident artist, and Bert Bernali from the Navajo Nation, who's an artist and musician. So the installation that they worked on together was done on Navajo land, and the concept was that it would be made all from products that were actually found on the property, and that the wind and rain would naturally blow these temporary artworks away. So Ai Weiwei, Ai Weiwei made a mandala, and Bert Bernali made a burning mandala. And since so few people could actually fit on the property, we were commissioned to make a kind of an interpretation and a full dome film about this. So we used photogrammetry for this. So we used it both for photographing the structures, the hogans, etc., but also capturing the greater landscapes. So we used drones to photograph the landscapes, and then we married those to terrestrial footage where we shot live action video and then composited the live action video into the photogrammetric scenes so that we could reproject the video back onto the 3D scenes, mixing those different types of reality. So that was kind of a fun project, and you can see that we've got this up on Vimeo. This has just been played in a few dome theaters and sitting on hard drives for years. So we just put this up recently. So I would encourage you to pop on a headset and take a look at that. We've also done lots of work with Bjork. So we've done a series of projects with her over the years. Our initial idea was for her MoMA work, and this was this little video is just a description of how we were going to use photogrammetry to capture for the dome. The problem with the dome was that she wanted to go at a very high resolution, but still wanted the quality of live action. There wasn't a live action camera that was capturing enough resolution that we could put a 180-degree lens on at the time. So we took a Bjork-sized friend of the director's out to the desert near where we lived. We did photogrammetry, created a model of it. We then took this live action footage and we tracked it, meaning we figured out where the camera was for every frame of the video, and then we put that into the same scene. We then took that live action component, put a light garbage mat around the actor, and then extended the scene using the photogrammetry. So this is kind of typical of how we've mixed photogrammetry and live action and kind of created VR. So we did a whole series of projects with her in Iceland, photographing different trains, going through caves, mixing laser scanning and photogrammetry. So this is a few years ago now, and at the time it was still pretty difficult to fuse laser scanning and photogrammetry. But we were able to do that. These are some of the examples of the terrains that we captured. These are the cameras, just to give you a sense of the number of photos that we were using. So you can see that we were calibrating both aerial photography and terrestrial photography together. And let's see, we'll take one quick look at a result. Okay, and there's audio for this.